is just finish on the analytics with this piece of information, and that is, because of the power that we've got today around the technology and the modelling tools and techniques, it's allowing us to move away from that hindsight attitude that typically, I know speaking to any CXO and GM, and I ask them the question, are you satisfied with the information you get on a daily basis? The answer is generally no. Why not? Because it's not timely, generally don't believe it, it's too late, and it's not giving me exactly what I need to know. So how do you move away from that historical, look, here's what we'll tell you on an Excel model that someone's taken for 2 weeks to present something that, you know, business has moved on, to how do we then take that to more of an insightful view, and then from those insights start to predict, start to take a pro-sight or predictive view in being prepared about what's to come with our business based on, you know, a much different way of interrogating history and doing some modelling and future modelling. And that's I think where we're seeing analytics going forward. And it already exists in different, it manifests in different ways and mediums already. You know, we see reporting and dashboards and scorecards. Now the best we've got at the moment is either historical or real time. So the push now is to start making those dashboards a little bit more predictive, using some trending. Love that topic. Let's quickly move on to social computing. And I've probably got about 5 minutes, but we did start a little bit late, so may run over time if that's okay. Social computing for us it's not the social media, it's not the social network, it's about how do we move from a consumer's curiosity around social media to an enterprise innovation and strategic advantage. And let's think about that for a moment. You're crowdsourcing. There's power of the people. If there's one takeaway from this session that I'd like you to think about, a little bit off centre, is the word scuttlebutt. Right? I know it's quite different. The origins of the word scuttlebutt come from shipping terminology back in the 15th century, 16th century. And it represented the barrel on a ship where people went and filled up their cups of water. Now what actually occurred was a congregation of people around that water cooler, basically on a ship, and they shared information. Right? So you had the salesman with the navigator and the governor coming together, sharing information about where they're going to go next. Now, you think about today's business where you go and make a cup of coffee in the kitchen, go get a drink of water. You're exchanging information with people, but it's happening on such a minor scale, one-on-one. The power here about social computing is harnessing the power of that crowd and knowing that you can get real-time information very quickly by polling the crowd. Now, if you think about it, Facebook, if it was a country, would be the 3rd largest country on this planet, right? So the power of harnessing that amount of population to answer a question or poll something, understand consumer behaviour. There's real power in this business, and we're saying that businesses today, particularly in WA, need to embrace this big time because there's a real strategic advantage to it. So from that, I guess what we're trying to say is there's this sphere and network that's occurring over and above the social media space alone, and over and above the social network alone. There's this ability to collaborate. Now, Google Docs or SharePoint are examples of collaboration tools and techniques that are in use today. But what we're saying about social computing now is to actually get, not from an application point of view, but from a personal, people point of view, and connect those two together. So you have this organisation of both people and technology and a process that sits in and around that to harness the power. So the example is, I was talking to actually Michael Scott yesterday with an example of NASA wanting to solve their algorithm around black spots in the universe, right? So they put that out and they made a competition around it. And the eventual winners were, it was a European mob that crowdsourced a lot of this information to come up with different algorithms. And they tapped into the third largest country in the world to get all these smart people connecting algorithms and logic to come up with a different way of debating their logic about where all these black spots in the universe occur. So that's sort of the power. The other real-life example is, I mean, you look at the UK riots recently, you look at the fall of the president in Egypt, that is power of the people implementing change on a large scale based on being able to network collectively. So that's sort of the power. So what do we mean by social media then? In my interpretation, it's a space to interact that has a context. Okay? So I have an electronic room to collaborate on trends in automotive, carbon, clean technology. That's social media. Social computing. It's the technology that connects you, your mobile device, your tablet, your iPhone, and so forth. The network represents when you harness that power, how people are actually responding to, the question posed, the grenade thrown on the table, the pole that goes out there that we want to harness. And finally, we're looking at social business, combining all of the above to harness that power, as we suggested. Now, if you look at, I guess, the way that we do that, we have our own internal social media site within Deloitte called Yammer, and it now connects each of us, thousands of people together on a particular topic should the need arise. So there was a great example of our CEO going to present to a major forum of all other CEOs, and his topic was on how to motivate and attract a young workforce in the 25-year-old to Deloitte. He polled it, and he got all these responses back from 25-year-olds and 30-year-olds within our business that sort of said, "Guillaume, here's what we think about what you need to say." And he just harnessed that in his presentation, and it just blew the audience away in terms of that sort of power. So, look, I'll leave you with one thing to wrap up, and it's this particular view, that. So the trends that we've just talked about deal with cloud, deal with mobility, the social aspect of harnessing power in business, and the data analytics capability. Now, when you start to combine all those four, disruptive deployments, you start to create a very different way of how we might do business in WA. And as a result of that, we abbreviate this to a term called Clomo Soda. Not Club Lemon Soda, Clomo Soda. Cloud, mobility, social and data. And for us, in terms of the trends in WA, there's an enormous opportunity for our clients, your companies, your employees to really embrace this, but it's not without its risks. Okay? It needs to be done in a measured way, in a secure way, but I guarantee those that can unlock that pathway will gain a strategic advantage in WA. They'll be able to attract people to their business, they'll be able to out-compete their competitors within their industries, and I think they'll be able to provide a very different workplace for their employees, which we do have a skilled shortage in WA. So on that note, thanks very much everybody, it's been a pleasure.